It started like every cruel viral prank. Two teens, one phone, and a deaf kid who couldn't hear the danger behind him. They mocked him, shoved him, pinned him down, all while filming his panic, calling him a crybaby as he fought to understand what was happening. But the biggest mistake they made was thinking no one important was watching, because 5 steps behind them, through the mall doors, Jason Statham had already seen enough. But before we continue, I just want to take a moment to say thank you for being here. Your support, your time, and your kindness mean more than you know. If you're enjoying these stories and want to keep seeing more just like this, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Alright, now let's get back to the story. The mall was louder than usual that Saturday afternoon. Not because of the music. Not because of the weekend crowds. Not even because of the little kids running around with ice cream dripping down their sleeves. No, it was loud because of a group of teenage boys who thought the entire world revolved around them. They moved through the mall like they owned it, laughing too loudly, pointing at people, making jokes nobody found funny except themselves. The kind of boys who were raised on the belief that consequences were things that happened to other people. And right now, those boys had found a target. A kid maybe 15, alone, thin, carrying a small backpack, standing near the outdoor exit of the mall's side entrance. His name was Evan. A quiet kid. He didn't make trouble, didn't disturb anyone, didn't even make eye contact most days. He just kept his head down in school, tried to stay out of the way, and survived each day the best he could. But to bullies, that made him perfect prey. Evan wasn't just shy. He was deaf. He wore a hearing aid in one ear and a small cochlear processor clipped to his shirt. To the boys who circled him, that might as well have been a neon sign that said, "Different, weak, easy target." And in their minds, that meant entertainment. 3 boys stood in front of him now, blocking his path out of the mall. One pushed him in the shoulder, hard. Evan stumbled backward, almost falling. Another boy snatched his backpack off his shoulders with a grin and tossed it to his friend like it was a football. The 4th boy wasn't participating in the pushing, because he was too busy filming. He held his phone high, smirking, making loud commentary so his TikTok audience could enjoy the show. "Look at this crybaby," he shouted, shoving the camera close to Evan's face. Evan flinched, not at the words because he couldn't hear them, but at the aggression, the proximity, the body language. He could see enough to understand what was happening. His eyes filled with tears, but he didn't scream, didn't beg. He just tried to sign stop, please. This only made the boys laugh harder. "Bro, he's throwing gang signs at you," one joked. Another shoved him down to his knees. Mall goers passed by, saw the commotion, and deliberately looked away. They didn't want trouble. They didn't want to get involved. They didn't want those boys turning their attention on them. And that, right there, is what broke Evan's heart more than the bullying itself. Not the shoving, not the name-calling, not even the filming. It was the silence, the absolute silence of everyone else while he suffered. He already lived in a world of quiet. But this silence felt different. This silence felt like abandonment. He signed again, shaky, frantic. "Please give it back, please." But the boys only laughed harder. The ringleader, a muscular kid who thought his tight black t-shirt made him look intimidating instead of insecure, grabbed Evan by the collar and shoved him face first onto the concrete curb outside the mall. Evan's cheek scraped against the rough ground, leaving a red mark that grew darker by the second. The boy filming zoomed in. "This is gold," he snickered. "He's literally crying." And Evan was. But not out of pain. Out of humiliation. Out of feeling small. Worthless. Powerless. That's when the boys decided to cross the final line. The ringleader put his knee between Evan's shoulder blades and shoved him down, pinning him. Evan gasped, his hearing aid crushed under the pressure. And then, for the first time, he did make a sound. A choked, sharp, terrified whimper. And that sound That one tiny sound was heard by someone only a few yards away. Someone who had been leaning against the mall wall, just exiting the building with a cup of coffee in one hand and his phone in the other. Someone the boys hadn't noticed. Someone who had seen everything. Jason Statham. Not the movie star. Not the celebrity signing autographs. Just a man in a jacket, heading to his car, minding his own business. Until a kid cried out. Jason froze mid-step. His eyes narrowed. His jaw tightened. His entire posture shifted. From relaxed to ready in one heartbeat. He watched carefully, making sure he understood what was happening before he intervened. He didn't like to assume. He didn't like to jump to conclusions. But when he saw that boy shove Evan's face deeper into the concrete, while the others laughed and filmed, that was all he needed. Jason set his coffee on a trash bin. Took one slow step forward. Then another. The world around him seemed to go quiet, even for Evan. Jason's silhouette cut through the sunlight as he walked toward them, each step deliberate, controlled, and heavy with purpose. Most people would run. Most people would yell. Most people would record on their phones. But Jason observed, calculating his move with the kind of calm that comes from a lifetime of knowing exactly how to handle situations like this. He approached just close enough to hear the ringleader snarl. "Stop crying, freak. You can hear me, right? Or do your batteries need charging?" Evan shook his head desperately. He signed again, struggling. "Please stop." The boys mocked the hand gestures. And the filming boy turned his phone to the camera, grinning. "Yo guys, watch this." He didn't finish the sentence, because a voice, steady, gravelly, low, cut through the air behind them. A voice the world knew instantly. But the boys didn't recognize it. "Not yet." Jason said only one word. "Enough." The ringleader froze. The filming kid lowered his phone. Evan, pinned to the ground, slowly turned his head and saw a tall figure behind them. Broad shoulders, cold eyes, expression darker than a storm. Jason looked at them the way a lion looks at three hyenas chewing on a wounded gazelle. The ringleader tried to recover his confidence. Dude, this isn't your business." Jason didn't blink. "It is now." The boys exchanged nervous glances, laughing awkwardly to hide their fear. "Yo, relax, man, we're just messing around." Jason's eyes lowered to Evan, bruised, shaking, gasping for breath. "Is that right?" he asked quietly. The ringleader swallowed. Jason took one step closer. It was only a step. But the boys stumbled backward like someone had fired a gun. "Let him up," Jason said. His tone didn't rise. He didn't yell. He didn't threaten. He just commanded. The ringleader lifted his knee slowly. Evan scrambled backwards, pushing himself to sit upright, clutching his broken hearing aid. Jason crouched beside him. "You all right, kid?" he asked softly. Evan didn't hear the words, but he felt the gentleness of the voice, the calm in Jason's eyes. He touched his chest twice with trembling fingers, signing. "Thank you." Jason nodded. Then he slowly rose to his feet. And the air changed. His calm shifted into something colder. More dangerous. More controlled. Jason stepped toward the boys, only a few inches, but it felt like the distance between a fuse and a detonator. The ringleader puffed up his chest again, clearly trying to reclaim the dominance he'd just lost. "You can't tell us what to do," he muttered. Jason tilted his head slightly. "You sure about that?" The filming kid whispered to the ringleader. "Dude, I think that's Jason Statham." But before the ringleader could react, Jason's hand shot forward. Not to hit. Not to shove. To grab the boy's phone. He took it so smoothly the kid didn't even resist. His muscles were too slow compared to Jason's speed. Jason held the phone in his palm, looked straight at the camera lens, and began scrolling. What he saw made his jaw clench. Video after video. Different kids. Different locations. Different humiliations. All filmed. All posted. All laughed at. All using a hashtag. Silent loser. Jason's eyes darkened. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't move aggressively. But when he spoke next, the boys went pale. You think hurting people makes you strong? Jason asked quietly. You think filming pain makes you important? He stepped closer. You're about 3 seconds from learning what real weakness looks like. The boys backed up until their heels hit the curb. Jason tossed the phone to the ground. It shattered instantly. The filming boy flinched. Jason didn't let them speak. He continued, voice colder now. You're going to clean up everything you did today. You're going to apologize. And you're going to hand over every video. The ringleader tried to protest. Jason raised one eyebrow. And that was enough. The boys nodded. Jason turned his head slightly toward Evan and extended a hand to help him stand. Evan hesitated, then took it. Jason lifted him up gently. Don't worry, he said softly, knowing Evan might not hear but hoping he would understand through tone alone. I've got you. And as the boys scrambled to obey, delete their videos and apologize. Jason didn't take his eyes off them. Not for 1 second. Because this wasn't over. Not yet. This was only the beginning. The boys stood shoulder to shoulder now, their earlier confidence drained like air from a punctured tire. Phones out, hands trembling, deleting every video under Jason's watch. Jason didn't hover. He didn't bark orders. He just stood there still as stone, eyes sharp as blades making it absolutely clear. One wrong move and he'd step in again. The ringleader swallowed as he deleted the last clip. He turned his screen toward Jason, voice cracking. SC all gone. Jason didn't nod, didn't praise. He just said, Good, now apologize. The boy blinked. What right now? Jason's jaw twitched. The boy stumbled forward, face red. I'm sorry, he muttered without looking at Evan. Jason didn't say a word. But the silence was pressure, heavy, cold, suffocating. The boy forced himself to look at Evan. I'm sorry, okay, I shouldn't have, yeah. He stepped back quickly, as if Evan were the one who scared him. The other 2 boys repeated the same, their voices small and shaky. Jason never softened. When the last one finished, Jason crouched down next to Evan again. You okay? He asked, slow and calm, letting Evan see his lips. Evan blinked hard, tears blurring his vision. His hands moved, signing carefully. Thank you, I didn't know what to do. Jason nodded. You did nothing wrong. Evan clutched his hearing aid crushed flat, wires poking out like broken bones. He looked devastated. Jason gently took it from his hands. I'll fix this, he said, or get you a new one. Evan shook his head quickly, signing. It's okay, it wasn't expensive, too old anyway. Jason stared at him for a long moment. Then he looked over at the bullies. Which of you broke this? None answered. Jason exhaled, slow, controlled. All right, he said, voice calm. Let's try something else. He stepped toward them. Empty your pockets. The boys froze. What? Why? Because, Jason said, someone's paying for his new hearing aid, and you're all about to contribute. The ringleader's voice cracked. We don't have money. Jason raised one eyebrow, then glanced at the boy wearing $200 sneakers and a $300 jacket. Try again. Within seconds, they were fishing out crumpled bills, loose gift cards, coins, even a couple folded mall vouchers. Jason didn't touch any of it yet. He waited until all 3 had emptied everything. By the end, a small pile sat on the curb. Jason finally looked at Evan. You choose, he told him. Take what you need or walk away. Evan stared at the money, then shook his head firmly. He signed. I don't want their money. Jason smiled barely, but enough to soften the hard lines of his face. I figured you'd say that. He faced the boys again. You're lucky, he said quietly. He's better than all of you. They stared at their shoes. Jason pointed at the money. Pick it up, all of you. The boys scrambled to gather it. Now, Jason continued, walk into the mall, straight to security. Tell them exactly what you did, all of it. The ringleader's eyes went wide. No, we'll get banned. Jason tilted his head. Seems fair. We'll get in trouble at home. You should have thought of that before hurting a kid who couldn't defend himself. The boys looked terrified. Go, Jason said. None dared hesitate. They hurried into the mall, tripping over themselves in their rush. Jason waited until they were inside before he turned back to Evan. You hungry? Evan looked surprised, then nodded shyly. Jason smiled again. Come on, let's get you something warm to eat. Jason bought burgers, fries, and sodas. Evan hesitated before eating, still shaken, but Jason made small conversation, signing when he could, writing on napkins when he couldn't. He'd learned basic sign language years ago for a role. He wasn't fluent, but he knew enough to make a kid feel safe. A mall employee approached nervously. Sir, are those boys with you? They just turned themselves in and, well, they said you told them to. Jason nodded. Good. The employee blinked. Security's dealing with them now. Thank you for stepping in. Jason just nodded again. He didn't do it for attention. He didn't do it for praise. He didn't even do it for justice. He did it because there are moments in life when stepping in is the only right thing to do. And today was one of those moments. 30 minutes later, security met with the boys' parents. Jason didn't go into the room. He stayed with Evan, kept eating, kept things calm. But he could hear the yelling. One parent shouting, "You bullied a deaf kid." Another, "Do you know how lucky you are no one pressed charges?" A third, "You embarrassed this family." Jason didn't need to see their faces to know the boys were crying now. And for once, it wasn't entertainment. Evan toyed with his straw, then signed something slowly. Jason leaned forward, concentrating. Evan repeated the motion. Why did you help me? Jason sat back thoughtfully. He tapped his chest twice, the sign for me. Then he signed back, clumsy but sincere. Because someone once helped me. Evan's eyes softened. Jason continued, speaking slowly, while Evan read his lips. When I was your age, someone stepped in when they didn't have to. I never forgot it. So now, I don't walk away when I see someone who needs a hand. Evan swallowed hard. Tears pricked the corners of his eyes. Not from fear or pain this time, but from something he almost never felt. Protection. Security eventually brought the boys out, red-eyed, humiliated, quieter than church mice. Their parents apologized to Jason, apologized to Evan, and apologized to anyone within 20 feet. Jason didn't gloat, didn't smirk, didn't even look triumphant. He just said, I hope you boys learned something today. The ringleader whispered. Yes, sir. Jason stepped closer. The boy flinched. Jason didn't touch him. He only said, next time you see someone different, remember how this felt, and choose better. The boy nodded vigorously. Security escorted them out. Jason drove Evan home, staying with him until his mom arrived, panicked and breathless. Jason explained everything. She hugged Evan so tightly, he nearly dropped his fries. Then she turned to Jason with tears in her eyes. How can I thank you? Jason shook his head. No need. But she insisted. How can I repay you, please? Jason thought about the broken hearing aid in his pocket. He pulled it out, placed it in her hand. Let me take care of this, he said. I know someone who can help. Her eyes widened. You do that? Jason nodded with a small smile. Every kid deserves to hear the world tell them they matter. Evan's mom wiped her tears. Thank you truly. Jason placed a gentle hand on Evan's shoulder. You take care, kid. Evan signed quickly, hands shaking but confident. You too, and thank you again. Jason nodded. Then he turned, walked to his car, and disappeared down the street. Quietly, modestly, like nothing extraordinary had happened. The next week, Evan received a package. Inside, a brand new top-of-the-line hearing aid with a small note. For the kid who didn't need sound to show courage. J.S. Evan smiled wider than he had in years. Because for the first time, he believed something he'd forgotten long ago. There are still good people in the world. People who stand up. People who protect. People who care. And that day at the mall, it became the moment he would never, ever forget.